we posted, the story, the press release about the charity event that you took part in December.
Right.
How did that go?
Oh, it was cool. That all came through my manager. Some people had reached out to my manager, and we was able to work everything out. And I think at the time I was on the road, but we were able to do something for them where we were still able to participate and donate and give something to support it, even though I was out on the road. I think I may have even been out there in London or somewhere in Europe because that was when I was on my European tour.
Cool.
Yeah.
And why is it important to give back? Why do you think it's important?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I think that's the way that you go forward by giving back. You know what I mean? I don't think you can really go forward, you know, consciously as far as knowing what you've been able to accomplish, knowing what you've been blessed with. And, that goes for anybody in entertainment or anybody who's doing something where they made it in any sort of way. If you're able to say you made it somehow, then you should be able to give back when it's called for and when you feel the need to. And there's always a need to in my book, you know what I mean? Because people aren't as lucky and as blessed as some of the rest of us are. So we got to always remember that and take heed to that and do what's right.
Cool. Indeed, indeed. Do you know how much money was raised?
I actually don't. Do you?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I thought you was about to put me on.
No, I'm gonna find out though.
Oh, okay. I thought you was about to put me on.
You were A3C, so was I.
Okay.
How was it? How was the A3C festival for you this year? Last year?
Yeah, A3C was dope. It's always dope down there. I've been to a few of them now. I think that one was my third one in a row. And just seeing the way it's changed over the years and the transition and just how it's grown, it's been really dope. I remember when it started and it was kind of a small thing in Atlanta. And if you was in the know, you knew about it. And if not, too bad. And now it's where the sponsorships are through the roof. The corporations that get involved and want to take part in things is just all through the roof. So there's just more and more people getting involved and wanting to attach themselves with it. And that just helps make it a bigger event and a better event and just brings more awareness to the artists that are there.
Cool, cool. Did you get to collab with any artists down there that you haven't before?
Well, there was a lot of networking going on. The thing about A3C, it's kind of similar to South by, if you know South by Southwest, where it's just tons of shows and tons of artists. And, you could have a show right now and in 3 hours have another show and then run over here and do this and then do that. It's kind of just like a free-for-all almost, you know what I mean? So with that, I was able to connect with a lot of people. I didn't do too much recording with other artists down there or recording at all for the most part because there was so much going on and I had so many shows and interviews and press things, but I was able to connect with a ton of people. One of the people I connected with was my man Focus, who's a producer. He was formerly signed to Aftermath and has done a bunch of stuff with Marsha Ambrosius and The Game and a lot of different people. And we were able to connect, and then I wound up going back to Atlanta about a month later for Thanksgiving, and him and I got in the studio in Stankonia Studios in Atlanta and recorded something from my album. So that was just one small example right there of A3C going to work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. The Great Debater has just been doing it. It's been really huge. It was nominated by DJ Boothnet for the best mixtape. Were you surprised by the how well it was received, by the reaction to it, or did you kind of expect?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I kind of expected some of it and some of it I didn't. Only because I know what I put into it. I know the work I put into it. I know what my fan base wants and likes, and I know where the market is right now. So yes and no. You know what I mean? I definitely knew it was a great piece of work, but at the same time, just, it's always dope when people receive something and they're so excited about it and, they're quoting lines and just going crazy. It's no matter how good you think something is that you make, it's still a blessing and it's still dope when you see people react the way they react. I remember waking up the morning that it dropped. It dropped June 7th. And the plan was for it to drop at 12 p.m. Eastern time so that we could roll it out with the EPK of the behind the scenes making of it and all these different tools that we had set up for a real campaign. So 12 p.m., that was when it was going to let go. Boom. I remember waking up that morning at like 7:30, 8 in the morning, and people on Twitter were, quoting lines. And I'm like, wait a minute, like nobody has it yet. It's not like it's, an album in stores and people bought it and started leaking it. Like it's a link that hasn't even gone up yet. Like what happened? And not, make a long story short, I Googled and started looking into it, and somehow a free mixtape leaked. Like my mixtape, a free mixtape for the people leaked like 12 hours prematurely. So I think it's the first free mixtape to ever leak. You know what I mean? To ever get hit with a leak, like if it was an album. And just people were going nuts, like just quoting lines like, yo, did you hear this? Like, if you didn't get it, you need to get it. Like, it was really, really phenomenal. So I was upset about the leak, but I wasn't upset with the response. You know what I mean?
How are leaks possible? How does that even work? If you have a project and you're keeping it like super secret until the
Yeah.
release date, how does a project even get out like that?
Oh man, I don't know, but hackers and computer geniuses and people of that sort. You know what I mean? I wish I was one of them as far as knowing how to get in and all that. Not that I would leak or hack anything, but just having that intellect of knowing how to do all that on a computer. But yeah, it's a lot of that. I was super surprised because when you see an album leak, it makes sense. You see an album leak and it's like, yeah, because it has to go to the plant as far as pressing it up, or it goes to the digital outlets and they let it go at a certain time. So, a lot of leaks start at the plants, but this is a free mixtape with a link. It's only a link. So how did y'all put that together? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But 2 points to them. They really got the job done on the leak.
When you rap, you say that you want people to know that you're from New York. What are your views on like the New York scene at the moment? The way the artists that were, and also the new generation, I would say, of New York rappers coming out. You've got the ASAPs coming out. Like, what are your views on the scene at the moment?
I think it's dope when you see New York making that wave to come back. You know what I mean? It's definitely dope. There's been a while where we weren't of any relevance as far as the mainstream. New York was always doing a thing, always on it. We always had something brewing. But as far as turning on the radio anywhere in the country, or turning on TV and watching videos anywhere in the country, and what artists can bring out crowds and draw and things like that, we weren't in that light. And to see it slowly start to turn back is dope. I think New York is still the same as the way I knew it, but it's different at the same time. The culture is a lot different, the way the younger generation, and I'm still a part of that younger generation too, but I'm that middle ground because I remember the late 80s and early 90s, just like I was a part of the 2000s, the early 2000s and mid to late 2000s. So I'm kind of that middle ground, being born in the 80s. But, I think the scene in New York, it's different. Sometimes it seems confusing. Sometimes it seems like, it's confused as far as where it's going to go or what direction it's going to go in. And sometimes it's everything that it's supposed to be and that it should be. So when I make my music, I just want you to know who I am, where I'm from, what I'm about, what I represent, and why I'm built the way I'm built. It's not really about waving a flag or saying, New York is better than everybody and I'm bringing the city back. I never was big on that mentality of saying you were going to do something. You rather, to me, just do it, and I learned that from Big, from watching Biggie. Biggie never said I'm going to bring New York back. He just brought it back. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't say, he never once uttered, I'm bringing us back. The only time he said something about bringing New York back was after he had already done it, and he was at the Source Awards, and he said, we did it, Brooklyn, we did it. But it was past tense because he had already done it. You know what I mean? Like, it was the only time he said something about bringing New York back. He never mentioned, I'm going to do it, I'm going to bring it back. And I'm big on that. You play it the same way. So I'm not going to say I'm going to do this, that, and the third. I'm just going to do it,
And when you're at home chilling, who do you listen to?
When I'm at home, I listen to, if I'm not listening to myself, and I don't listen to myself that much. I listen to myself when I'm going through edits and mixes and things like that, and I'm listening to rough versions and everything. And I listen to my stuff when it first comes out. So when I, drop a project, Great Debate or whatever it may be, I probably listen to it for about 2 months, heavy, just going through it, enjoying it, and at the same time, listening to certain things I may have done and, learning pointers and tips from myself. And then after that, I kind of leave it alone so I don't get tired of it and all that. And then plus you're going to perform it every night, so you're listening to it every night anyway. But besides myself, I'm a huge jazz head. I listen to a lot of jazz. So Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and, Horace Silver and Wayne Shorter, and, the list goes on and on and on. I have On the side of my couch, I have a huge jazz collection on vinyl. You know, I buy all my jazz on vinyl, and I got an old record player, and every Sunday I just throw on jazz all day. So, you know, I do a lot of that. Hip hop wise, I do a lot of who do I listen to? People that I'm cool with. You know, my man Torre, my man Wale, people like that I've worked with and collabed with on a regular basis. Other than that, you know, Lupe and the Clips and Jeezy and Ross and, you know, Madlib, and my list is just all over the place. You know, I always said if somebody found my iPod, they wouldn't know whose it was to begin with, because you can't tell from looking at the iPod what type of person owned it. You know what I mean? Because it's just all over the place. Everything from, you know, Jeezy and Ross to Madlib and Dilla to Friendly Fires and Adele. You know, my iPod is all over the place. And then 40% of it is jazz alone. So that's me in a nutshell.
Mm. And you are a huge Dilla fan, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What is it about Dilla's music?
To me, I mean, you definitely hear the passion in it as far as the way he took his time and the intricacies of it. Like, you can, if you're a beat head or you're into music at all, you know certain samples, and you know the way he chopped certain things, and you know the way he reconstructed certain sounds. And I mean, there's stories of him making his own sounds where he would go outside with a bucket and the rain would drop into the bucket, and he would record that and use that as a snare. You know, there's so many stories about things that he would do just to take the music to other places, and that inspired me. You know what I mean? It still does to this day. And I've never made a beat in my life, but him making the beats inspired me as a writer. And I don't think there's many people that can say they inspired someone like that. Dilla's music inspired me, and he's a producer, and he inspired me as a writer, MC, to write and perform the way I do. You know, the pockets and his beats and the drums and the swing and the bass lines, and just the way he was able to put it together was kind of like no other, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
What are you working on at the moment? What can we expect in 2012?
At the moment, A Dream Deferred. That's all I'm about right now. It's my follow-up sophomore album to The Salvation, you know, live from the tape deck, which I did with Ill Mind, you know, critically acclaimed, a lot of people's, you know, favorite project and things like that. That was an EP. That was something him and I did over the course of a month, literally 30 days. You know, Great Debater was a mixtape. Penny Series was a mixtape, you know, but The Salvation was my debut album. A Dream Deferred picks up where The Salvation left off. So, you know, that's coming next. That's August, September. I'm working on it now. I'm about half done. 7 joints down, 7 more to go. Ill Mind, Ninth Wonder, Black Milk, DJ Khalil, Focus, Jalil Beats. The lineup is crazy, and there's more names to come. You know, the lineup is incredible. I love the way this album sounds so far. I've told people on the record, and I'll say it in every interview or anytime I get asked, A Dream Deferred will be the best hip-hop album of 2012. So
nice.
Forward to it.
And what are the top 3 greatest hip hop albums of all time?
Wow. Yeah, that's probably the toughest question in the world. I mean, Reasonable Doubt. Wow. It's the only like definite that I can say.
Why definitely Reasonable Doubt?
The storytelling, the production, the emotion, what it stood for, what it meant when it came out, what it means now, 15, 17 years later, however many years it's been. It's everything about it. You know, it's just such a perfect album. I can listen to that album every single day. You know, I could be stranded on an island with that album and be all right. You know what I mean? Reasonable Doubt. Definitely want to throw Illmatic in there. Definitely want to throw like Big Ready to Die, but then you also got, oh man, this, you know, Eminem, the Eminem Show to me was pretty much a flawless album. Lupe the Cool was, you know, to me a flawless album. That was definitely like a pretty much perfect album. Definitely My Joints, you know, The Salvation. But even taking me out of it, you know, not even to sound biased or anything like that. There's so many albums, it's tough. It's really tough. I know I'm forgetting stuff that I'll be mad at later. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, man. That's a hard question.
It's cool. That was more than 3, but it's okay.
I know that was like 5 or 6, right?
Will you be coming back to the UK anytime soon?
Absolutely. I hope so. Yo, I love London. I'm so jealous that you're in London right now, able to just be out
And
there.
we don't have snow.
I know, right? Yo, London is the most spectacular place in the world to me. I feel like London just speaks to me and who I am and what I'm about. And I read all these stories, about the jazz scene that was out there in the 50s and Miles living out there and doing records and the jazz cafe out there and people performing. And I want to perform there one day. And yeah, I love London, man. I've been out there twice so far. Once on tour and once with my man Matisse, who's a local artist out there in London, and we shot a video and did a record and things like that out there. And London is really, really amazing. Like, it's wow. Yeah. So to answer your question, I will be back there soon. I've even contemplated going over there for 2 months just to work and live. Work.
Hey.
Live. I love it out there, man. It's so wonderful. It's so perfect.
Cool. Awesome. And is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you want to say that we haven't touched on already? Anything you want to say to your fans?
Oh, man, to the fans, everybody showing love. I appreciate all of y'all, every single last one of y'all. I do this for y'all as well as I do it for myself. A Dream Deferred, 2012, third quarter, like August, September, third quarter 2012, top hip-hop album of 2012. I'm predicting it now. I'm guaranteeing it now. I'm putting the word out there now. You can put your money up. I can put my money up, and we can meet in the middle. And shout to Raw Roots for holding me down. Shout to London, man. Like, I love London. I'm not just saying that because you're from out there. I love London. I wish I was sitting out there right now. Yeah, shout to everybody out there. And shout to everybody, who's been supporting the movement from the jump, And follow me, Twitter at Skyzoo. That's at SKYZOO.
Thank you very much for your time.
Nah, thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right, babe. Later.